Number one, thanks for joining me on this, my first webinar on how marketing automation and inbound recruiting can totally change everything. So I was going through these slides and getting everything ready, and my wife, who is also a recruiter, I was driving and I was going over some of the points, and she was like, I was looking at her and talking, and she was like, And so I realized that most of the stuff is probably not engaging and kind of boring. So I kind of threw everything out at the last minute, and I just wanted to go right to the heart of the thing. So let me just first, I'm just going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you the magic, and then I'm going to show you. But here was the thing. After 20 years of sourcing and recruiting, I started seeing the same thing happening. As sourcers and recruiters, as we worked and as our tools got more sophisticated, finding the people and finding their contact information was no longer the problem. A lot of you have heard me say this before. Engaging with them becomes the issue. We have an ATS, which is good for what it is good for. And then we have, a hodgepodge of tools. So over the years, this problem has been brewing. And I've finally, about 8 months ago, fixed or found a solution by combining a new methodology of marketing on top of a marketing automation tool. And so together, that solves the problem. Here's the problem. And while I'm doing this, I'm gonna share my share this presentation so you guys can. But here's the thing. I'm gonna skip the introductions and the housekeeping and all that stuff. Let me go right to inbound recruiting. So the problem is right now we're using a kind of an outdated model. We as recruiters and talent acquisition teams, we have a need, right? We need qualified candidates. And you guys have seen this before. So we work this funnel, right? Whenever we need somebody, we say, sourcing, job posting, events, go out and get me new people. And we spend a lot of our time up here in the top of the funnel, because that's all we know as recruiters. That's all we have. That's what we know. So what the issue is that, there we go. So the issue is sourcers and recruiters, we can bring in lots of information. Events can bring in lots of leads. Only a small part of those are actually ready to apply. Okay, so first of all, a small portion is actually qualified, ready to make a move. And then only a smaller portion of that is actually ready to apply. We spend all of our time posting jobs, which is a very transactional thing. We want them to apply now or let's talk. I guess the aha moment I had was that what do we do with all the other people, okay, that are not ready to apply, and we don't know what to do with them. We don't know, we don't have the tools or the capabilities to do anything. I'm gonna work this slide here as we go. So right now we're very focused on the transaction. We have a job opening, we're hiring, let's talk. We're already assuming those messages, we're already assuming that people are ready to apply. Yet we talk about wanting passive candidates. So there's definitely an issue with our methodology here. Bear with me here. I'm trying to get all this. And so I guess the big wow moment for me was when I found this inbound recruiting methodology. And it makes sense. You're going to say, yeah, that's no big deal. Here's the deal. With every major purchase or every major life event, individuals go through a process. This shows 3 of them. There's actually one before this that they're not even aware. So there's the awareness stage, the consideration stage, and the decision stage. Think of, and I'm going to get real personal here and give you an actual story, but think of those pharmaceutical commercials, right? So they come out and they say, did you know that, this may happen? And what they're doing is they're trying to get you right here at the awareness stage, right? So for a while, for years, when I went to bed, I would kick my legs. They would get fidgety. Hey, I just went on like that. My dad had that. I had that, right? And that was okay. But I wasn't aware that that was an issue until my wife said, hey, did you know that you kick in your sleep? And, I'm like, no, I didn't. So I became aware. But then I sat in that stage for a while. And then it wasn't until I saw the commercial that said, did you know that RLS, there is restless leg syndrome, and that there's something that can be done about it, and it's genetic and this and this and that. So then I started quickly moving to this stage, okay? Obviously, I want you guys to make a bridge to people who are applying for jobs. But so first I was aware of it. And people can stay in this stage for a long time. Think of yourselves. So I'm a recruiter, and I know maybe I'm not 100% happy with my job, but I'm going to stick it out, right? So I could be stuck in this awareness stage. It's not till a trigger event happens that I move to the consideration stage. And that's typically when you, number one, Google something, right? You actually type in some keywords, right? Like, what is restless leg syndrome? Or what are the symptoms of this, right? Just like your candidates are, once they didn't get that raise, once they're tired of maybe commuting, maybe they have work-life issues. And so then the candidate might type in, work-life balance, or what is the average commute time for software engineers, or those are the things they start typing in because that's the stage we're at. Meanwhile, what we're posting is open jobs. Hey, we're the best place to work, open jobs. Our message and the stage that the people are in are not, they're not in sync, right? So whenever you get a message, and you've gotten them before, whenever you see a commercial, a message, a pop-up, even someone next to you talking, if their message is not aligned with the stage that you are in, it becomes spam, or it becomes unwanted, or you just ignore it totally, okay? So the big aha moment was, we're over here as recruiters posting jobs, asking people to what? Apply or let's talk. And they're over here, okay? And then we start all over again. The sourcers and the recruiters, we don't have the capability to do anything else, really, right? That's all we have. We have the tools to find people and then to ask them to apply. I can get my little, I can get my presentation to work with me. That'll be awesome. All right. Hey, this is what happens, folks, when you go live. So let me just hit it again. All right. Okay, so that was the biggest aha moment, was that it's not just passive candidates, active candidates. That's kind of all we heard of. We only go for passive candidates, assuming that active means you're looking. Once I realized that it wasn't that simple, that there were different stages, then the second aha moment was when on the inbound strategy, that they aligned your strategy with the individual's stage. So here they're strangers, right? And like I told you, remember I started blog right when I changed into the decision making stage, the things that I looked for in YouTube and Google changed, right? So if we do the same thing, if we change our messaging to every stage of our target candidate, when they type in things that are going to mean that they're in the decision stage, none of your content is going to pop up. Best places to work and open jobs aren't going to pop up. That's only going to work when they're later on in the stage. So if we can build what's called a persona for each of our target pipelines, let's just take in-house recruiters, and we spend the time and we say, what does a recruiter look like? What are the questions they ask when they are in, let me go back here. What does it look like when they're in this stage? Okay, when they're just figuring out that ABC company isn't the best place to work. What are their actions? What is the content, the videos, the social media, and the emails that they want to be getting? Okay, what about when they move over to consideration stage? What are the signals that they're going to be broadcasting? What are the things they're going to be Googling? And on to the decision stage. And what if we wrote articles and videos that were in line with our target candidates at every stage, right? So that way it's not just spam. So I'm not saying to stop doing what we're doing. This process takes 6 to 8 months, depending on your resources. But if you could start mapping out the hardest position that you have, female software engineers in New York, and you sat down with your team, and there's actually some spreadsheets I can share with you. This is a whole thing, right? This is it's a very complicated process. I'm trying to simplify it. But if you can find out what those female software engineers in New York, what are their pain points, what are they looking for, and not make it about us, and not make it about the recruiting, we change the focus onto the candidate. Then we can start, once we know the questions they're asking and what they're looking for, then we can start building, and you might already have the content, we can start building those things, and that is what we share with them. Okay, so that was the kind of the big aha moment. Now, that's cool, but how does that look to a recruiting department? We don't have the capabilities to do all this. So then this is one half of the webinar, right? Like, it's the inbound methodology. In other words, we've got to align ourselves. I'm going to switch this back to video for a second. We have a whole bunch of people that just logged in late. Sorry, there's going to be a replay. Let's see. Joined us, but so the main thing is the 2 parts of this webinar I was going to share with you is the inbound methodology, and the second one is going to be next. So the inbound methodology says that, now keep in mind, we only have a finite number of candidates that meet your criteria for every pipeline. Now, I had a bunch of slides that went over this. I don't want to share them with you, but basically, I've been at the point where we have reached almost all of them. In other words, something happens, we need to hire 5 engineers in New York, and the fire drill happens. Let's go, get the sourcing, get all these resources on there. And it's like, we found those people last quarter when we went through this fire drill. We sent them all emails. We said, hey, you're looking for a job, let's talk. So what did we do with them? Like, what do we do with all those lists, all those events that we do? We get them in. Only a small percentage of people are actually in the decision and consideration stage, so they apply. What do we do with the rest of the people? Our ATS sends job alerts, but that assumes you're already in the decision-making process. They would have applied already, so that's a waste, okay? It's actually a negative thing. It's spam, right? It's like me getting a phone call saying, hey, I'm with this new medical company, we can help you because you're sick. I'm like, I'm not sick yet. Well, but if you're sick, you need to come in right now. I know, but I'm not sick. Okay. And the phone rings again. Hey, I'm with a new medical deal. Hey, we're the leading top medical place, and we're in your area. So come on in, we're going to cure you. I know, but I'm not sick. Okay. So that's what we're doing by sending, we're hiring. We're already assuming that they're unhappy, and that they're ready to make a change. And so that's the big aha moment that I had. What if we could constantly email or somehow nurture our target population and it be valuable to them even though they weren't ready? How many times does this happen to you? You have a big push in Q1 or whatever the quarter is, and then in Q3, when it happens again, you go to your database, and the amazing person, that awesome female engineer in New York, she just left her job a month ago. And you're like, oh my gosh, we had her. But as sourcers and recruiters, I don't care what company you work at, we don't know when they're getting ready to look. So this is where the second aha moment comes in. And I'm going to switch this out. If you have any questions, use the chat box, by the way, because I know I get excited and I love this stuff and I want to make this short. So let's go to, I want to share. Bear with me, bear with me. How's everyone doing? You can hear me, you can see me. I know the lighting is a little funny, but all right, let's see if I can share this bad boy with you guys. My screen now. Okay, most of you can see me. I'm assuming I'm getting yeses. So here's the deal. Here's an example of the recruiting marketing automation combined with inbound marketing. We make a landing page. I say I make a landing page that matches your target persona. In this case, it's a UI UX designer, let's say in New York, right? And guess what? We send that to our list of UI UX designers that are in your ATS, that are in your CRM, that are in those Google Sheets sitting around on these shared drives that no one's doing anything, and we invite them. Okay, hey Larry, that's not a big deal. We do that now. So obviously when they sign up, then they go into this cool marketing system that I now have access to. And so they get this cool email, right? This will be the nice email they have. Hey, welcome to the event. Our team's going to be there speaking. So that's great. That was automated. It was automated because, and the system you're seeing right now is my system, right? So I finally found the second aha moment was, number one was inbound marketing. Number two was I knew teams were using, let me see here. I worked for at USAA, at Rackspace, Zappos, ThoughtWorks Consulting. The marketing teams had the marketing automation software. Recruiting just didn't have access to it. And it's because it's very expensive. It's about $7,000 a seat. It takes months to get trained. So they didn't want the recruiters to play with the tools. So I'm like, if I could only get my hands on the tools. So I found a provider that would let me customize the back end and become a reseller. So let me show this to you again. I might be saying that wrong. Infusionsoft, that's what you want. You want to have access to this. The problem is it's very expensive and you're not going to have the staff. It takes a long time to do it. But so that person signs up, right? We made a landing page. We invited the team. Let's go. We made the landing page that was relevant to our audience. They signed up. They got a pretty email, right? They got the pretty email because I made an automation that says, hey, if anyone signs up from that form, go ahead and sign them up to this list and send them the email, the thank you for signing up. That's no big deal, right? That's email marketing. MailChimp and Aweber, maybe even your ATS can do that. Here's where the magic happens. Remember, go back to what we were talking about in inbound marketing. How do I know? How can I check to see if they're moving down the different stages? Well, in this email, in every email we send, so we're going to make, let's say 12 emails, 1 email a month for every target population that you have, every candidate pool that you want to market to, okay? Female engineers in New York, right? We're going to send 1 email a month. We can do more, we can do less, and we can even do some A/B testing. But so we're going to educate them and we're going to give them valuable information, right? Assuming that they're in the awareness stage. In each email, we're going to put what I call a honeypot. It's just something that says, hey, we've got UX jobs open in New York. Or your content can have an article like average commute time from this to this. In other words, remember in the first part of this webinar, we talked about mapping your personas and understanding what questions they're going to be asking at each stage. We're going to put articles that cover each stage. And then when these people, your target audience, get these videos, when they get these emails, this system will say, I'm going to make one right here for you. I'm going to make a new event. I'm going to say, if this person or anyone has clicked on a certain link, or we could say has visited a certain link on your site, I could do a URL contains, and we can put in your URL. So we can say, if anyone on our lead lists, let's say from an event, all the sourcing leads that didn't convert, if at any time, because they're getting these emails once a month, if they click on a link that has anything to do with jobs, I want you to segment them, okay? And we can do something with this, right? I work with your teams and I say, give me your ideal candidate. And based on that ideal candidate, we're going to build a lead score. So we're going to say, this is where I lose most people, so hang in there, just hang in there. We're going to say, if account, because all we're going to ask for is their Gmail account, right? We're not going to ask them a bunch of questions based on their IP address and what you told me. You told me, Larry, if anyone is in New York, right, or if any of them, because we've talked to your managers, and we want to know, they want to know, hey, if there's anybody who's on that Amazon team, let's just say the Accenture team, let me know, because we're really looking for their team. So we can tell the automation, if anyone lives in New York, and we can get very specific, we can go to city, we can go to country, right? We've got area code, zip code, city, state, and country. We can say, if they work for a certain organization, let's just say, if they say, we want to source people from Target and Accenture, because we know they have a good team in New York, right? These are all fake examples, right? So if that happens, then what I can do is, that would be a yes and a no. So if you get people that meet those conditions in your leads, then go ahead and automatically sorry about that. If they meet the conditions, here we go. Sorry about that. If that person meets those conditions that we just put in, go ahead and add 10 points to their contact score, because this is also a CRM. So we're going to give them 10 points if they're in New York, if they're for Amazon or Target, right? Now, we can keep going with this because the back end of the software can tell me their geography, gender. We can find their LinkedIn, their Facebook. I can add points for female engineers that work in New York. We can go on and on and on. What this does is this machine will continue to send emails and then monitor the people's behavior. So this is kind of amazing. So I hope this makes sense to you. So we built 12 emails that women engineers in New York are going to love, right? They're going to be informative, right? 10 top, UX platforms, whatever it is. If any of them start showing signs by opening up certain email links that talk about jobs or career choices, if any of them visit your site, we'll be able to put rules in, because we drop a little bit of code. It looks like Google Analytics code on your career page, on all your pages and your ATS, and it just monitors. So now when your sourcing team, let me get back here because I want to see you guys. All those leads that sourcing, events team, the college team, the diversity team, maybe it's just you doing all of it. All those people that apply, they go to your ATS. All the ones that didn't apply, now we put them into the system, and once every 3 weeks, they get nurtured with the emails that your team has helped us design. And they're informative. They're not talking about jobs. They're talking about this. They're talking about that. We curate content that's informative to them. And then the system is monitoring, right? It drops a cookie on their phone and on their site. And when they start showing signs of whatever it is you tell me, if they click on this, give them some points. So now the sourcers can keep sourcing, recruiters can keep recruiting, but all those people are being nurtured automatically. And then when someone actually starts showing signs, then let me show you this. Whenever they meet these signs, I want you to send an email. I want you to send a text. Now we can text and email the candidate so they can go into a whole new automation. We can make unlimited automations. I've got tons of automations, right? And I borrowed a lot of this knowledge from the e-commerce world. But so if they meet one criteria, now they can jump into another automation. And so if anyone meets this criteria, then go ahead and notify Larry. This could be you. So you tell me whatever recruiter you have that's working on that certain pipeline. And if someone ever if someone ever signs up for this list that meets that criteria, right, then you will be notified. So this will send me an email saying, hey, a woman engineer from Amazon in Austin is looking for at the career site. And then it'll send me their information, right? Then it could also, depending on what their score is, send the candidate an email saying, hey, you know what? We talked a long time ago. Here's my calendar link. We should talk and just meet up, right? So all this is happening automatically behind the scenes. If they don't show signs, then it just keeps sending them that email. So anyway, I know now I'm just repeating myself. Does anyone have any questions? And while you guys are typing, this system does email campaigns, which is standard. The cool thing is we can track them all, right? It has automations. Automations just monitor activity, right? So once someone has clicked on a link, then it monitors what they do. So it monitors if they forward the email to a friend, it monitors if they click on certain links in your email, and it monitors what pages they are visiting on your site. Also, deals is like a pipeline, kind of a pipeline management. So all those hundreds of people, we can actually put them in buckets. That way we can run reports and say, hey, we did an event or we did a sourcing campaign. We got 500 people. I know only 5 of them applied. Where is everybody else, right? So we can run all kinds of advanced reports. Lists is just a way of segmenting different pipelines. And we have a bunch of forms that we can pop up. That's how we get the information in, right? On Facebook pages, links. It could be the links on your LinkedIn profiles. And then we can run all kinds of reports. And of course, we have contacts. I don't want to show this because some of you are, this is my database, but once someone comes in, like I said, with their email address, so someone puts in their email address, it'll start working. It'll start finding their picture and it'll start finding their LinkedIn. It'll try to find any information it can on it. It'll try to find their geo, even some of it not HR relevant, but like their household income, their all kinds of stuff, right? So it starts to build a profile on the back end automatically. For those who we can't find their profile, as a sourcer, I can go in there and hunt and peck and try to find it. So I'm going to stop here real quick. Do any of you have any questions? Okay, well, I'm calling these kind of like webinar jams. So these are just going to be real quick. I don't want to even take it. Inbound recruiting says, let's put the candidate first. Let's understand who they are and what their needs are. Let's acknowledge they're not all looking for jobs, and let's feed them content that's going to match up. So all year long, they're going to get stuff from us, top of mind, and we're going to be educating them, entertaining them, wowing them. And then as soon as they start showing signs of active job behavior, They're going to get an email and a text if you want. The correct sourcer or recruiter is going to get an email or a text, and things happen all in the background. So that's pretty cool. Now, I did promise one thing on my webinar. It said, and no at no cost. What is it? No added, however I said it, and no headcount. Usually there's a whole team that does this, right? So the service that I've come up with is, with my consulting firm, Recruiter DNA, is that I will be your digital content person. In other words, I will build out everything. So you, since I'm a reseller, you get an account and I set up all the back end and I build these automations with your input. I build the emails. So in other words, no one on your team has to stop doing what they're doing. This is in addition, right? So then how does it become at no extra spend? So 3-4 months ago, we started doing promotional items, selling promotional items, t-shirts, mugs, pens, all kinds of stuff. And so it dawned on me, I don't just want to sell stuff. I want to solve the problem. I want to help recruiting teams actually build infrastructure to all the stuff I just showed you. So here's what I've come up with. You are already spending X amount on promotional items, right? Pens, cups, mugs, right? So here's what I came up with. If you spend that same amount with me in our company, we will credit this inbound automation. So let's say you're spending, X thousands of dollars. We will, if you spend the same amount that you're already spending with us, then this could be free or next to nothing, and get enterprise level marketing automation and help transform your team into an inbound marketing team. So hope that makes sense. Let me know how it goes. Sorry, this is my first webinar, so I know it's a little rough, but give me ideas and we'll go from there. And this will replay for everyone who missed it. Should replay in an hour. All right, everyone. Appreciate it.